Right, guys, good afternoon. It will be evening by the time that you guys watch this. How are you? Hope you had a nice weekend. And so today's topic, we're going to be discussing our check-ins and our checklists on a daily basis. So going through a list of things that we should be questioning ourselves on and checking in to make sure that we are following that list accordingly to how we want the day to roll. I wrote check-ins and checklists because I think both of them are slightly different. One of them could be a checklist where you're just ticking off things that you need to do for the day, whether that's in your personal life or with trading. And check-ins, I would like to kind of get that more into in terms of checking in with ourselves, our health, our mental health, our well-being, our physicality. Like, how do we feel physically? Are we fueled? Are we ready to go? Are we in gear 1 or are we in gear 5? So checking in with yourself and making sure that you are at your best for that morning in order to trade, in order to, go to work, in order to provide for your family, provide for yourself, etc., etc. Okay, so just as I've explained, what is a daily checklist? It is a list of things that you would like to complete within that specific day or refer back to keep you on track. So when I say refer back to, it's really important that you don't just read your daily checklist for the day, especially if it's a check-in for trading. Make sure that you refer back to it. Make sure that every trade that you take, every analysis that you create, that you're always going back and referring to your list of rules, your list of strategies, your list of do's and don'ts. Yeah, so make sure that that is a priority. Basically just keep in touch with your daily check-in and daily checklist at all times, especially if you're in the position of growth. With trading, we're always going to be learning, but if you're at a beginner stage, it's really important that this becomes a part of your daily lifestyle. It becomes a part of your routine, and there's no excuse for us not to check this list. I do find that because if we always have, different times of the day we're doing different things, we've got different responsibilities, it can be quite difficult to find a set time to go back onto our list. But let's just say if you have it in front of you as much as possible, that you will be able to just even glance at it, and your subconscious, so that mind that's ticking in the background, will absorb the information, and then naturally you will always naturally think about your checklist. Does that make sense? So the more you see something, it's like your environment. The more you're around something, the more you hear something, the more you become it, the more that you talk about it, the more that you enjoy it. We follow our environment without even realizing. So, you can do the same with your checklist. So how will this benefit your trading? How will having a check-in and a checklist affect in a positive way how you trade? So number one, it will keep you in line with your goals. Yeah. So your goals will always have and actions and decisions that you take in order to meet those goals whenever they are in the future. So if you stay intact with your daily checklist, you're basically saying that you're keeping in line with your goals. Okay. Accountability. So if you have done your daily check-in or even haven't, and you do a mistake or you do something that kind of falls out of line, you can always go back to your daily checklist and, take accountability that you probably ignored this particular point. You probably ignored something because, your ego took over in that moment. And it's okay. These things happen. But so long as you're taking accountability for those actions. So number 3, your structure. Your structure of the day, your routine of the day, it will keep you in line with the routine that you desire for that day or for that week. Some of us have very different days, which means that we can't trade every single day. Some of us have very specific times of days that we do things because of work. So make sure that you're aware of which one you are, and that you structure and create a good routine and a healthy routine alongside checking that checklist. Number 4, make you aware of things you didn't know. So have you been in a position when you're trading? Let me think of a good example. Okay, let's say that you are always going to look for rejection candles, right? You love your inverted hammers, and that is part of your rules that you've got on your checklist, making sure that you always try and catch those inverted hammers in order for you to take a sell, for example. And let's say you're trading, you see an amazing setup, and it's like, oh my God, this is a sell, it's going to happen. And you press trade, and it turns out that it might go into a loss, might go into a profit. But if you reflect and journal back on that trade, and you notice that there was no rejection candle, there was no inverted hammer, then it will make you aware that that was a rule that you've solidified as part of your strategies and as part of your trading, and that you didn't follow it. So it makes you aware of these things. And even if it went into a profit, you can either say, well, actually, maybe that setup is also going to be included into my rules, or actually, that was quite risky. I shouldn't have done that because it didn't follow my plan. And then you can say, okay, I've journaled that. I know what I need to improve on, and I know what I need to look out for in the future. The more you tell yourself that, the more that it becomes more bolder in your head to make sure that you're looking for those rejection candles, whatever that rule that you've applied, or that strategy, that pattern. It just makes you aware of what you're doing and what you're not following. Okay, so number 5, complete necessary actions for your targets. So let's say for journaling, it might be that, today you are absolutely tired, like you've drank so much over the weekend, you've got a massive hangover and you just can't cope. And you're going to decide that today, I'm going to just not trade. I'm not going to journal my trades today because I'm just too tired. So if you go back to your daily check-in, your list, and it says complete necessary actions, for example, journal, you are taking accountability at that present moment if you decide that you're not going to journal. Okay, it's part of your checklist and you've decided you're not going to do it. Okay, if that's what you feel that you don't want to do that day, just remember that you need to take accountability as part of number 2 there. But also, reading back on it, you may think, actually, I should journal regardless of how I feel. This is part of my plan for the day, for tomorrow, for the days to come. And I need to make sure that I do it because I want to tick it off the list and make sure that I've got the list completed. Number 6, something to reflect back on and observe. So always observing and reflecting as part of your journaling is really important. And number 7, repetitive affirmation. So if you tell yourself you are happy, you are happy, you are happy, no matter how much you don't feel that way, your brain receives that word and that vibration as if you are happy, and you naturally start becoming it. It's the same with everything. It's the same with negativity. If you tell yourself, I hate life, I hate life, I hate life, and you're constantly saying you want to give up, you will end up of that vibration, that low frequency, and potentially give up. Because you're repeating something that your brain is going to absorb, and it's going to believe you in that moment and keep believing you until it's stored in your subconscious memory. And next thing, you haven't got control of it. So your list for the day and checking in all the time, you're repeating the same thing over and over again to yourself every day or every few times each day. So it becomes a part of a habit. So you're creating a new habit here. It becomes automatic because it then gets stored in your subconscious, and you don't feel like it's a forced action that you need to take. Your brain will naturally remember that you need to do this checklist. It's honestly amazing when you really start, when you really take control of how your brain works, what you gain out of it is incredible. And that's what we want to do here. We want to master the way that our brain works and thinks, and actions for everything, for our personal life, for people around us and trading. So yeah, take that on, guys. Just go back to that list. So you've got 7 things there to just become aware of how it will benefit the way that you trade. So what to include in your checklist? So I've mentioned number 1, your rules. Number 2, your risk. So making sure if you've got a live account or you're doing a challenge or a funded account, however many accounts that you have, make sure that you're risking to that account. Make sure that you're not using the same lot size to every account, especially if, for example, you've got, 5 challenges. One is a 10K, one is a 2.5. 2 or 50K, and another one is 100K. So make sure that you're locking in with your risk, that you understand and are happy of what you're losing throughout the day. So make sure with risk, I would have like a daily loss max, and then you can divide that daily loss per trade. So let's say if you're going to take 5 trades every day, and that's going to be your maximum, you're not going to do any more, that you divide that maximum daily loss between all of those trades, okay? And always don't worry about the profit. So long as that it's gone into profit, you've won, okay? It means that you've executed and mastered your trade, your trading analysis. So don't worry about the TP side. Just focus on making sure that you've got the right risk according to your account. So number 3, your well-being is so important, because your mindset is connected with your well-being, your emotions, how your emotions basically direct your actions and what you're going to do throughout that day. So if you're not in the greatest place, if you've done a loss and now you're angry, because it can happen, check in with yourself. How do I feel right now? I'm angry, I'm frustrated, should I trade feeling this way? Should I trade with these emotions? Absolutely not. Let me take a break. Let me stay back, go and read, go for a walk, shut my computer down, whatever it is. So make sure you check in with your well-being. How am I feeling physically, mentally, and emotionally? Always ask yourself that question, okay? Number 4, your strategy. So make sure you've got that written down. The news that you're checking every single morning, what's happening in the news with red news. You can even include the medium news, the orange news, and make sure that the red is the most important. Reminders, so reminding yourself of things that you need to do. Do I need to keep drinking water to make myself fueled for the day? Remind yourself to eat well. Remind yourself to feel good about yourself. Remind yourself to give yourself positive affirmations. Remind yourself to don't stare at the screen all the time. Give yourself reminders, put it on post-it notes or something, and make it a part of your list. Number 7, affirmations, as we've spoken about. Number 8, your trading hours. So have you got an idea of how many hours that you want to trade for per day? Have you got an idea of what time of the day that you want to trade? Are you going to follow different openings? Are you going to follow when London market opens, or the New York opens, or the Asian opens, if you're someone that works a lot of hours in the day and prefer to trade at night? Make sure that you know what hours that you want to trade, and that will also help you cut down that excessive time at the screen, always checking trades, etc. Always looking for a potential rather than just focusing on quality setups, quality trades. And stick by it. Stick by your trading hours. Don't worry about what everyone else is doing, because we all have a different daily routine that's going to benefit us with our trading or not benefit us. So don't follow other people. Just make sure that you've got what is right for you. And realistic goals. So really important, make sure that your goals are realistic, that you're not saying next week I'm going to make £5,000 and you're using 0.01 lot size per trade, okay? Making sure that they're realistic, but they're also something to motivate you and work towards, okay? There's nothing better than having a motivation and a vision of exactly what you want. Just don't expect too much. Make it realistic to you and healthy as well. Healthy goals are important, okay? So anything you need to check with yourself on to provide you the best outcome. So along with these this 1 to 9 lists that I've created here, you know, think of anything else that would work for you, something else that you want to add. Like I said, everyone's different. Everyone's got a different day. So think about what you want to add, include in your checklist. Maybe you have a checklist already, but you want to improve it now after watching this. Maybe take out things, maybe replace or add. And so where are you going to put your checklist? Right, so I want to tell you guys, I've always had a checklist like on a notepad. Okay, I normally write it every single day because I noticed that obviously every day my hours and my schedule is very different, and I want to make sure that I'm trading according to how that day's run. Now, the only problem I had here was that because it was in a notepad, I wasn't carrying the notepad everywhere that I went. And so that was one of my things. I was always forgetting to bring the notepad because I know that, let's say if I have clients somewhere and I know I'm going to have an hour free in between the clients and I want to trade in between that time, and my notepad's at home, that's not really going to be effective. It's not going to help me. I may remember some things on the list, but I forgot the notepad, end of, you know, and that is me not following my rules when trading. So me going to trade outside without that list, there's just no point. And so what I've done is I have created the same checklist and I've written on a massive A2 paper. I've stuck one in my living room. I've stuck one in my office, in my other room. And I've also screenshotted it, put it on my phone, and I've also got it written down. So basically, I've just increased the locations of where my lists are because I want to infuse this information into my subconscious. And I want to know that if, let's say, for example, I woke up one morning and I didn't have the list with me, but I'm now at that point where my brain knows exactly what's on that list and I can tick it off, possibly write it again in front of me if I needed to. But it's now been infused in my brain so hard that I remember every single day to first check in with that list before I do any trading, before I do any analysis. Okay, so yeah, make sure, like I've written here, somewhere visible in your home, that it's clear and big enough for you to not walk past it. Yeah. Your phone wallpaper, your screensaver, another good one. And also sending a text to yourself. So I'm quite notorious actually of leaving messages to myself on my alarm. I love waking up to an alarm and looking at my phone and seeing that I've written a message to myself, and it could be something positive. One of my alarms actually at 6:30, it says, well done for passing your 50K funded account. I've not passed it yet, but I've put that on there to make sure that it's like a positive motivation for me, positive affirmation. But following on from that, sending a text to yourself of your list is also another amazing reminder, another way of being accountable, that you've sent that text, you've read it, and now you're accountable to stick to it. You can send a voice recording, like record yourself talking your checklist. Again, that's another way to infuse this information into your brain, into your subconscious. And post-it notes. So pop loads of post-it notes around. Don't worry about who lives in your house. You know, get a wall, stick loads of post-it notes on there of everything that you need to help you with your trading, and make it colorful. Make loads of copies, you know, and put them everywhere, just until you get to that place where you no longer feel like you need that constantly in your face, you know, is super important. So make sure that your checklist is everywhere and that you're sticking to it. So lastly, I just want to say, know what you want in life, intend to receive what you want. Okay, don't expect, because expectations lead to false outcomes. Intend. Put your energy into intention. So you intend to be a funded trader, and then let the universe work its way for you. Don't worry about when it's going to happen, you know, what month it's going to happen. Don't worry about any of that. So long as you have your intention, the outcome will come in its own divine timing. Yeah. Write a checklist that will get you, or get to where you want. I think I wrote that wrong. that will get you to where you want, basically. Write a checklist that is realistic and that is going to provide you motivation and direction. Okay, you want to make sure that you're following the forward direction. You're not going backwards, you're not stagnant, that you're always moving forward. And lastly, do not fear. Fear is only ego controlling your potential. Yeah, your fear stems from past trauma, it stems from childhood habits, it stems from what people have told you as you're being raised, it stems from behaviors that you might have had due to things that have happened in your past. It does not exist. Fear is just a made-up thing based on our past. So if it's based on our past and we're currently in the present moment looking towards our future, why are we using it? Why are we allowing that ego to control what's going to happen to us? So that could be a good one to add to your check-in, your self-check-in, to not fear, and write that fear equals ego. Yeah, so you know that fear isn't you. Fear is just an ego. It's an altered version of you based on your past. It does not exist anymore. And I said lastly again, successful and consistent trading highlights what kind of mindset you have. Okay, listen to that again, read that again. Successful and consistent trading highlights what kind of mindset you have. If you have made massive improvements, it's not just to do with how well that you're trading. It tells me a lot about your mindset and what you've done in order to provide yourself with a consistency in your job, in your CEO trading environment. Yeah, your mindset says everything, and it shows, and we can feel it, we can hear it, we can see it with your consistent profits. And so make sure that your mindset is a priority every single day, which is why I keep saying when you check in with yourself, that you're checking in mentally, physically, and emotionally. Super important, guys. Please don't forget that. Have an idea, write down some ideas in order to create a beautiful check-in list for yourself that is going to get you started either from this week or from the beginning of May. And I want you to stick to it. I want you to give yourself a goal, a task. I'm going to stick to this every single day for the next month. And I promise you, what's going to happen to you after that month is going to be incredible. And you're going to thank yourself for doing this. You're going to thank yourself for sticking to that actual target, that task, that rule. And you're going to provide yourself with more opportunity to becoming an amazing trader and becoming like people like Lorena and Ben. Okay, so anyway, guys, I hope this has helped you. Please look back on this. Reread things. That's also really good to keep reminding yourself of certain things and get that checklist done. We might one day in May actually just kind of reflect back on this topic and see where you're at with your checklist. I think that would be quite good, and just kind of hearing what you guys have on that list. So make sure that you have this, because I want to see what you guys have come up with over the next few weeks for May, and that you're sticking to it. And if you aren't as well, that would be really good to reflect and talk about that. Yeah. Okay, guys, have a nice day, evening, and I wish you all the best with your trading. Take care.